Here's the first part of your story, written in *** simple and basic English *** without headings, totaling approximately ** 1400 words ***. It's crafted in third-person style with straightforward language. The sun was setting over a quiet little town in rural Texas. The sky turned shades of orange and pink as people finished their day's work. Cars drove slowly down the main road, past small shops and houses surrounded by fields. A gas station stood at the edge of town, its neon sign flickering weakly. Inside, Jake Collins leaned against the counter, munching on chips while scrolling through his phone. He wasn't doing anything important, just watching videos of cats playing piano and laughing loudly. Every few minutes, Jake was a mechanic who worked at the garage next door. He had sandy brown hair that always looked like it hadn't been brushed, and he wore an old baseball cap that said dirt track racing across the front. His jeans were stained with oil, but no one cared because everyone knew him around here. Jake was friendly, funny, and maybe talked a little too much, but people liked him for it. If you asked him about something, even if it was just the weather, he'd give you 10 times more information than you needed. Outside, the air grew cooler as night approached. Crickets chirped in the distance, and the only sounds were the occasional car passing by or the hum of the gas pumps. Everything seemed normal, that is, until a strange light appeared in the sky. At first, it looked like a falling star streaking across the horizon, but then it slowed down, hovering above the gas station before descending silently toward the ground. Jake didn't notice it right away. He was busy telling himself jokes from the internet under his breath when the lights inside the gas station flickered. Startled, he looked up and froze. Outside, a sleek silver ship hovered just above the pavement. It shimmered faintly, reflecting the fading sunlight. The craft was smooth and polished, with no visible windows or doors. For a moment, Jake thought it might be some kind of prank. Maybe Steve from the barber shop rented one of those fancy drones and messed with him again. But this thing didn't look fake, it felt real, almost alive. Before Jake could decide what to do, a section of the ship opened smoothly, revealing a glowing blue doorway. Two figures stepped out. They weren't human. Their bodies were tall and thin, with skin that shimmered like liquid metal. Their faces were blank except for 2 large black eyes that seemed to take up most of their heads. They moved gracefully, gliding rather than walking, and stopped just outside the gas station entrance. Jake blinked. Then he blinked again. He said, pointing at them with his half-eaten bag of chips, "You guys lost or something?" One of the aliens tilted its head slightly, studying him. Its voice came from nowhere and everywhere at once, deep and mechanical yet clear. "We are the Zarnati," it announced. "We seek knowledge of your species." Jake stared at them for another second. Then, as if flipping a switch, he started talking. "Oh wow. Okay, cool. So, I'm Jake Collins, born and raised right here in this fine town. You ever hear of Texas? Probably not, huh? Anyway, we got great barbecue, man, like, seriously. Best brisket you'll ever eat. Oh, and tacos. Don't forget tacos. Do y'all even have tacos where you come from? Wait, where do you come from? Space, dang, space must be awesome. I mean, zero gravity, stars everywhere. Hey, can I ask how fast your ship goes? Because, like, rockets these days are pretty fast, but yours seems way better. Is it solar powered? Or maybe nuclear fusion? That'd be sweet. Man, I wish I understood science more. All I know is cars, and let me tell ya, fixing transmissions ain't easy." The aliens exchanged a glance, or at least, it looked like they did. Their expressions never changed, but there was something about the way they shifted their heads that made Jake think they were confused. Not that he noticed. He kept going, rambling on about everything and nothing all at once. And then last week, get this, my dog Max ate an entire plate of nachos. Nachos. Can you believe that? Poor guy couldn't sit down for hours afterward. Oh, and speaking of dogs, have you seen any alien pets? Do aliens even have pets? Like, maybe space hamsters? Or something. That would be hilarious. Imagine bringing a space hamster home to show mom. She'd freak out, actually. She already freaks out when I bring home stray cats, so inside the ship, Commander Vreltharn listened to the transmission feed with growing frustration. The Zarnati prided themselves on efficiency and precision. The missions were carefully planned, executed with minimal interaction and maximum results. This endless stream of noise was unprecedented. How could anyone say so many words without pausing for breath? Zilnak analyzed the data streaming in from their translation devices. It appears to be communicating, though the content lacks coherence. Perhaps it is attempting to confuse us. Vreltharn considered this possibility. Humans were known for their unpredictability, according to preliminary scans. Still, This level of disorder was astonishing. Order Unit 3 to initiate direct communication, he instructed. Perhaps a structured dialogue will restore order. Back outside. Jake barely paused as the third alien emerged from the ship. This one carried a device that emitted a soft humming sound. It extended a limb-like appendage toward Jake, who immediately launched into another tangent. Oh. Hey, new friend. Cool gadget you've got there. Is that like a universal translator? Those things always break in movies, you know, like they start translating random stuff nobody wants to hear, or they glitch out halfway through. Oh, remember that one movie where the alien says destroy instead of greet? Classic. Mix-up. Totally changes the plot, right? Anyway, I bet yours works perfectly. No glitches. Am I right? Speaking of which, does it translate dog barks too? Because Max has a lot to say. Trust me, the alien activated the device, which projected a holographic interface between them. Words scrolled across the screen in perfect English. Asterisk asterisk cease. Vocalization. State purpose. Asterisk asterisk. Jake squinted at the message, then grinned. Oh. You want me to stop talking? Nah, I don't think so. See, I'm kinda bad at shutting up. People tell me all the time. My boss says it drives him crazy, but honestly, I think it makes life more fun. Silence is boring. You ever try sitting quietly for 5 minutes? Feels weird, doesn't it? Anyway, since you're asking nicely, I guess I could tell you why I'm here. I'm here because, well, actually, I'm not sure. I think I came in for snacks. But now I'm mostly just hanging out. What about you? Why are you here? The alien hesitated, processing the flood of information. Before it could respond, Jake continued. Wait, hold on. Let me guess you're here to conquer Earth, right? That's usually the deal with aliens, isn't it? Big ships, lasers taking over the planet. But listen, buddy, I gotta tell you, Earth's not exactly easy to take over. We've got hurricanes, earthquakes, politics, it's a mess. Plus, we argue about everything. Seriously, you wouldn't believe the fights we have over pizza toppings. Pineapple. No pineapple, it's a whole thing. You should see the comments online. Brutal. The aliens exchanged another glance. Their sensors indicated elevated stress levels among the crew. This human's behavior was unlike anything they had encountered before. It wasn't aggression or fear, it was pure, unfiltered chaos. Commander Vreltharn decided to intervene personally. Stepping out of the ship, he addressed Jake directly. Human, your species is inefficient and disorganized, yet you persist despite your flaws. Explain. Jake blinked, surprised by the question. Wow, straight to the point. Okay, well, I think it's because we adapt. Yeah, that's it. We're good at figuring things out as we go. Even when stuff doesn't make sense, we keep trying. Like me, for example. I barely passed high school, but I learned how to fix cars by watching YouTube videos. Crazy, right? Oh, and we're stubborn. Super stubborn. Once we set our minds to something, we don't give up. Ever heard of the saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again? Yeah, that's us. Stubborn as heck. Vreltharn processed this response. Stubbornness was not a trait valued by the Zarnati, yet it intrigued him. Could such determination be responsible for humanity's survival? He decided to test this theory. Further. Jake scratched his head. Prove it. Okay, sure. Let's say aliens landed tomorrow and tried to take over. What would happen? Well, first, we'd panic. Then we'd argue about what to do. Some people would hide, others would fight, and a few might try to negotiate. Eventually, though, we'd figure something out. Maybe we'd build giant robot suits, or train dolphins to attack your ships, or who knows. The point is, we'd find a way. Always do. For the first time, Vreltharn felt a flicker of doubt. Humanity's unpredictability was both a weakness and a strength. Perhaps conquering such a species would require more effort than anticipated. As Jake launched into yet another story about his childhood pet turtle, the commander signaled for retreat. The Zarnati would need time to reassess their strategy. As the aliens boarded their ship and prepared to depart, Jake waved cheerfully. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Come back anytime, okay? And bring tacos next time. The ship rose silently into the air, disappearing into the night sky. Jake watched it go, still munching on his chips. He shrugged. Well, that was weird. Behind him, the gas station clerk poked her head out cautiously. Jake. What just happened? He grinned. Aliens. Pretty sure they wanted to invade, but I think Here's asterisk asterisk part to asterisk asterisk of your story, written in asterisk asterisk simple and basic English asterisk asterisk. Totaling approximately asterisk asterisk 1400 words asterisk asterisk. It continues the tale in third-person style without headings. The next morning, Jake woke up feeling oddly proud of himself. He dreamed about the aliens all night. Well, not exactly dreaming. More like replaying the whole thing in his head over and over again. He couldn't help but laugh at how confused they looked when he started talking about tacos and robot suits. Yeah, he muttered to himself as he got dressed. I probably saved the world last night. He grabbed a cup of coffee from the kitchen and headed outside. The gas station was still there, looking just as ordinary as it always did. No glowing spaceships. No shiny aliens with big black eyes, just the same old cracked pavement and flickering neon sign. For a moment, Jake wondered if it had all been a dream. But then he noticed something strange. A small crowd gathered near the pumps. "Morning, Jake," called out Leela Bennett, his cousin, who stood in the middle of the group holding her phone, like she was filming a movie. Leela was a school teacher, always neat and organized, with curly blonde hair tied back in a ponytail. She loved asking questions, especially ones that made people think hard. Right now, though, she seemed more excited than usual. "What's going on?" Jake asked, scratching his head. Leela pointed at the ground. "You tell us. People are saying you met aliens last night." Jake blinked. "Wait, what? Who said that?" "You did," Leela replied with a grin. "Apparently. You called the radio station this morning while I was asleep. Said something about space hamsters and barbecue sauce." Jake groaned. Of course he'd done that. Why wouldn't he? Talking too much was kind of his thing. "Oh right, yeah. Okay, so maybe I mentioned it. But it wasn't a big deal, just some aliens stopping by for snacks." The crowd erupted into laughter and chatter. A few people clapped him on the back, congratulating him for being brave or crazy enough to talk to extraterrestrials. Someone handed him a donut, and another person offered him a beer. Even though it was barely 9 a.m., Jake accepted both, feeling like a local hero. But the excitement didn't stop there. By noon, the entire town knew about Jake's encounter. Cars lined up along the road leading to the gas station, filled with curious neighbors and tourists from nearby towns. Kids carried signs that read "Welcome back, aliens," while adults set up folding chairs and picnic blankets. There were coolers full of soda, plates of homemade cookies, and even a guy playing guitar in the corner. It felt less like an alien invasion and more like a block party. Jake sat on the hood of his truck, munching on chips and answering endless questions. "So, what did they look like?" one woman asked. "Tall, shiny, kinda like walking mirrors," Jake replied. Didn't smile much, though. Probably because they didn't know about nachos yet. "And what did they want?" someone else chimed in. "They said they wanted to learn about humans," Jake explained, gesturing dramatically with his hands. "But honestly, I think they just got overwhelmed. I mean, come on, who wouldn't be after hearing about my dog eating an entire plate of nachos?" The crowd laughed and Jake grinned. He loved making people happy. Even if half of what he said was exaggerated or completely made up, it didn't matter. Everyone was having fun, and that's what counted. Meanwhile, high above Earth, the Zarnati fleet hovered silently in orbit. Commander Vreltharn paced back and forth inside the ship, reviewing the data collected during their brief encounter with Jake Collins. Every word the human had spoken had been recorded, analyzed, and categorized. Yet despite hours of study, the Zarnati remained baffled. "These creatures defy logic," Vreltharn declared, addressing his crew. "Their communication patterns are chaotic, unpredictable. They speak of trivial matters, food, animals, entertainment, as if these things hold great importance." Zilnak nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps this is why they survive. Their ability to adapt stems from their flexibility." "Flexibility?" Vreltharn repeated skeptically. "Or lack of discipline?" Before anyone could answer, alarms blared. Throughout the ship, a transmission feed appeared on the main screen, showing live footage of the gas station below. Dozens of humans milled about, laughing, eating, and singing songs. In the center of it all stood Jake, holding court as if he were the king of some bizarre festival. "This cannot continue," Vreltharn growled. "We must reassert control." Back on Earth, the party was reaching its peak. Someone brought out a karaoke machine, and soon everyone was taking turns belting out off-key renditions of classic rock songs. Jake sang louder than anyone, naturally, choosing a dramatic power ballad that involved lots of fist-pumping and dramatic pauses. When he finished, the crowd cheered wildly, chanting his name, "Jake, Jake, Jake." Leela rolled her eyes, but couldn't hide her smile. "You're loving this, aren't you?" "Are you kidding?" Jake said, flexing his arms like a bodybuilder. "This is the best day of my life." Just then, the sky darkened. Clouds gathered overhead, swirling unnaturally fast. A low hum filled the air, growing louder and louder until it drowned out the music and cheering. Everyone froze, staring upward as the sleek silver ship descended once again. Hovering just above the gas station, "Oh," Jake said, pointing at it with a chip in hand. "They're back." The crowd gasped, some stepping backward nervously. Others raised their phones to record the moment. Leela stepped closer to Jake, whispering urgently, "What do we do?" Jake shrugged. "Same thing we did last time, talk." The ship opened and the Zarnati emerged, looking even more determined than before. This time, they brought reinforcements. Dozens of drones floated around them, scanning the area with bright red lights. One of the aliens stepped forward, its voice booming across the parking lot. "Humans," it announced, "cease this behavior immediately. You will comply with our demands." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Demands? What demands?" The alien hesitated, clearly unprepared for such a direct question. Finally, it replied, "We require silence, order, cooperation." Jake burst out laughing. "Silence? Buddy, you picked the wrong planet for that. Have you seen us on holidays? Or during football games? We don't do silence. Trust me, it's better this way." The alien tilted its head, processing his response. Meanwhile, the crowd started whispering among themselves, debating whether they should run or stand their ground. Leela decided to take matters into her own hands. "Excuse me," she called out, stepping forward boldly. Her voice rang clear and confident, cutting through the tension. "If you're here to learn about humans, you should start by understanding our culture. For example, do you know anything about democracy, or art, or pizza?" The alien turned its gaze toward her, intrigued despite itself. "Explain." Leela smiled, launching into an impromptu lecture. "Well, democracy means we get to vote on important decisions instead of letting one person decide everything. It's messy sometimes, but it works. Art is how we express ourselves: paintings, music, movies, all kinds of stuff. And pizza," she paused dramatically. "Pizza is the greatest invention ever. You put cheese, sauce, and toppings on dough, bake it, and bam, perfect food." The aliens stared at her blank space invaders. Jake interrupted, holding up a slice of leftover pizza someone had brought to the party. "See, humans invented this. Pretty sure aliens don't have anything like it." The alien's expression, if it could be called that, didn't change, but its posture shifted slightly, as if considering her words. Behind it, the drones hovered uncertainly, their red lights dimming. Leela pressed on. "And let's not forget humor. Humans love to laugh. Like, really laugh. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense. But that's okay. Laughter brings us together." Jake snorted. "Yeah, like when my dog tried to chase a squirrel and fell face first into a puddle. Funniest thing I've ever seen." The alien turned back to Jake, its large black eyes narrowing. "Your species' values. Nonsense. Not nonsense." Leela corrected gently. "Creativity. Spontaneity. Life isn't just about efficiency, you know. It's about connection, joy. Even chaos has its place." For a long moment, the alien said nothing. Then, slowly, it raised one of its limbs and pointed at Jake. "You, human, explain further." Jake grinned, already warming up for another round of storytelling. "All right, picture this. Once, I tried to fix a car engine using duct tape and a paper clip. Did it work? No. But it was hilarious watching smoke pour out of the hood. Oh, and then there was the time I accidentally dyed my hair green, because I mixed shampoo with food coloring." As Jake launched into yet another wild tale, the alien's shoulders slumped if aliens could slump. Its crew exchanged uneasy glances, clearly overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information pouring out of him. The drones began drifting aimlessly, their sensors overloaded. Commander Vreltharn watched the scene unfold from the safety of his ship, rubbing his metallic temples in frustration. "This is intolerable," he muttered. "How could any species function like this?" Zilnak hesitated before replying. Perhaps this is their strength. Their unpredictability, their refusal to conform." Vreltharn frowned deeply. "Strength? This is madness." Vreltharn sighed, a sound that echoed eerily through the ship. "Very well, prepare for withdrawal. This planet is incompatible with our mission." By the time Jake finished his story about the greenhair incident, the aliens were already retreating. Their ship rose silently into the sky, leaving behind only a faint shimmer in the. Here's part 3 of your story, written in simple and basic English totaling approximately 1,400 words It continues the tale in third-person style without headings. The next day, Jake woke up feeling like a celebrity. He'd spent most of the night celebrating with his neighbors, eating barbecue, singing karaoke, and telling exaggerated versions of his alien encounter. By morning, his voice was hoarse, His head was pounding, and his phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Everyone wanted to talk to him, friends, strangers, even reporters from nearby towns. Jake Collins, local hero, one headline read when he checked social media. Beneath it was a blurry photo of him standing on the hood of his truck holding a plate of tacos like some kind of champion. Leela walked into his kitchen just as he scrolled through the comments. "You're famous," she said, pouring herself a cup of coffee. "People are calling you the taco whisperer." "The what?" Jake asked, squinting at his phone. "You know, because you talk so much about food that the aliens gave up," Leela explained, smirking. "It's catchy. I might start selling t-shirts." Jake laughed, though part of him wondered if she was serious. Knowing Leela, she probably already had designs ready. She was always coming up with ideas like that, creative, quirky, and surprisingly effective. "So, what's the plan for today?" Leela asked, leaning against the counter. "More aliens? Or are we done saving the world?" Jake shrugged. "Who knows? Maybe they'll come back tonight. If they do, I'll just keep doing what I'm good at, talking until they leave." Leela raised an eyebrow. "You really think that's all it takes? Talking? It worked twice, didn't it?" Jake replied, grinning. "Besides, I don't see anyone else stepping up to save Earth." Before Leela could respond, there was a knock at the door. Outside stood a man in a suit, holding a clipboard and looking very official. His name tag read Agent Carter *, and he introduced himself as someone sent by the government to investigate the incident. "We need to ask you a few questions," Agent Carter said, glancing between Jake and Leela. "About the visitors." Jake scratched his head. "Visitors? Oh, you mean the aliens? Sure, I can answer questions. But fair warning, I tend to ramble." Agent Carter forced a smile. "That's fine. Let's start with what happened last night." For the next hour, Jake recounted every detail he could remember, from the glowing spaceship to the aliens' shiny skin and big black eyes. He threw in plenty of jokes about nachos, robot suits, and space hamsters, making Agent Carter visibly uncomfortable. Leela chimed in occasionally, adding her own observations about how the aliens reacted to human culture. "They seemed confused," she said thoughtfully, "like they weren't expecting us to act this way." "That's because they're used to efficiency," Jake added. "But humans aren't efficient. We're messy, loud, and unpredictable. That's why they couldn't handle me." Agent Carter scribbled notes furiously, though it was clear he wasn't sure what to make of any of it. When he finally left, promising to send more agents later, Jake turned to Leela and grinned. "See, easy peasy. Aliens, governments, it's all the same. Just talk enough, and they'll figure it out themselves." Leela shook her head, laughing. "You're impossible." Later that afternoon, the town gathered again at the gas station. Word had spread beyond their little community, and now people were driving in from neighboring states to catch a glimpse of Jake, or maybe spot another alien ship. Food trucks lined the streets, selling everything from burgers to ice cream. Kids ran around wearing tinfoil hats, pretending to be astronauts. Someone even set up a stage for live music. Jake sat in the middle of it all, enjoying the attention. People kept asking him questions, taking selfies with him, and offering him snacks. He happily obliged, cracking jokes and telling wild stories about his supposed adventures in space. At one point, a kid asked if he'd ever ridden in an alien spaceship. "Sure did," Jake replied, nodding seriously. "Flew faster than light, dodged asteroids, fought off space pirates, you name it. Best ride of my life." The crowd cheered, completely buying into his tale. Leela rolled her eyes but didn't bother correcting him. After all, it was harmless fun. And honestly, who cared if half of what he said was true? The important thing was that everyone was happy. As the sun began to set, the atmosphere shifted. The sky grew darker, and the air felt heavier somehow. A low hum filled the space, growing louder and louder until it drowned out the music and chatter. Everyone froze, staring upward as the familiar silver ship descended once more. "Oh boy," Jake muttered, grabbing a bag of chips. Round 3. This time, the aliens came prepared. Dozens of drones surrounded the ship, scanning the area with bright red lights. The crowd backed away nervously, but Jake stayed put, munching on his chips like nothing unusual was happening. One of the aliens stepped forward, its voice echoing across the parking lot. "Human, you will cease this behavior immediately." Jake raised an eyebrow. "What behavior?" "Eating chips, because that's not going to happen." The alien hesitated, clearly unprepared for his casual attitude. Finally, it continued. "Your constant noise disrupts our mission. We demand silence." Jake snorted. "Silence? Buddy, you're barking up the wrong tree. Have you met humans? We don't do silence. Ever heard of rock concerts or football games? Or babies crying at 2 in the morning? Yeah. Good luck with that. The alien tilted its head, processing his response. Meanwhile, Leela stepped forward, holding up her phone. If you want to understand humans, maybe you should watch this. She played a video of Jake leading the crowd in a sing-along the previous night. The aliens watched silently, their expressions unreadable. When the video ended, the alien turned to Leela. Explain, it's called joy. Leela said simply, humans create music, art, laughter, all kinds of things to express ourselves. It's messy, but it's beautiful. Even chaos has its place. The alien stared at her for a long moment before turning back to Jake. Your species is illogical. Yep, Jake agreed cheerfully. But we're also awesome. Want proof? Watch this. He grabbed the microphone from the stage and started singing karaoke aloud. Off-key rendition of a classic country song. The crowd joined in, clapping and cheering as the music filled the air. The aliens looked utterly bewildered, their drone spinning aimlessly as if unsure how to process the scene. Commander Vreltharn watched from the safety of his ship, rubbing his metallic temples in frustration. This is intolerable, he muttered. How could any species function like this? Zilnak hesitated before replying. Perhaps this is their strength, their unpredictability, their refusal to conform. Vreltharn frowned deeply. Strength? This is madness, yet effective, Zilnak added quietly. Look at them, united, celebrating, even in the face of uncertainty. They find joy. Vreltharn sighed, a sound that echoed eerily through the ship. Very well, prepare for withdrawal. This planet is incompatible with our mission. By the time Jake finished his song, the aliens were already retreating. Their ship rose silently into the sky, leaving behind only a faint shimmer in the air. The crowd erupted into cheers, hugging each other and shouting Jake's name. You did it, Leela exclaimed, throwing her arms around him. You scared them off again. Jake shrugged modestly. Hey, all I did was talk. Guess they weren't ready for Texas hospitality. As the sun set once more, the celebration continued late into the night. Someone handed Jake a microphone, and he led the crowd in a rousing rendition of Sweet Home Alabama. Nearby, Leela filmed everything on her phone, planning to upload it later with the caption, when Jake saved the world again. Far above, the Zarnati fleet prepared to jump away. Before they left, Commander Vreltharn sent one final message. To Earth's leaders, a warning disguised as advice to the humans: beware of excessive noise. It may prove hazardous to those who value order. Jake never saw the message, of course. If he had, he probably would have laughed and said something like, noise is just music you haven't learned to appreciate yet. And deep down somewhere, in the vastness of space, the Zarnati couldn't help but agree. Let me know if you'd like me to continue writing the remaining parts, or format this into a document. Here's part for of your story, written in simple and basic English totaling approximately 1400 words It continues the tale in third-person style without headings. The days following the second alien encounter turned Jake into a local legend. People from all over the country started showing up in town, curious to meet the man who had scared off aliens with words. Reporters parked their vans outside the gas station, microphones in hand, eager to get interviews. Social media buzzed with memes of Jake holding a bag of chips. Captioned things like when life gives you lemons. Trade them for tacos or the guy who talked so much aliens left. Jake didn't mind the attention. In fact, he loved it. Every morning, he'd walk out of his house to find cameras waiting for him. Kids asking for autographs and food trucks lining the streets. Someone even made a cardboard cutout of him wearing a cowboy hat and holding a plate of barbecue ribs. He posed next to it proudly, grinning for photos. Leela, on the other hand, tried to keep things under control. She acted as Jake's unofficial manager, setting up interviews, organizing events, and making sure no one got too carried away. You're famous now, she told him one afternoon while they sat on the hood of his truck eating ice cream cones. But don't let it go to your head. Jake laughed, dripping chocolate sauce down his chin. Too late. I already ordered a custom t-shirt that says Alien Whisperer. Leela groaned but couldn't help smiling. Of course you did. Despite the chaos, life in the small Texas town felt lighter somehow. People laughed more, sang louder, and seemed genuinely happy. Even strangers passing through stopped to join the fun, sharing stories of their own weird experiences or singing along. During karaoke nights, the gas station parking lot became a hub of activity, filled with music, laughter, and endless plates of food. But not everyone was thrilled about Jake's newfound fame. A few government agents returned, this time bringing scientists and researchers who wanted to study what had happened. They set up equipment near the gas station, scanning the area for traces of alien technology. Some of them interviewed Jake repeatedly, asking detailed questions about the aliens' appearance, behavior, and language. They seem obsessed. Leela whispered to Jake after one particularly long session, "You think they're worried? The aliens will come back." Jake shrugged, tossing an empty soda can into a trash bin. "Maybe. But if they do, I'll just do what I always do, talk until they leave." Leela frowned. "What if they don't leave this time? What if they bring reinforcements?" "They won't," Jake said confidently. "Trust me, once aliens see how crazy we are, they bail fast. We're like human fireworks, loud, unpredictable, and kind of beautiful." Leela wasn't convinced, but she didn't argue. Instead, she focused on keeping the celebrations organized and making sure Jake stayed grounded. She reminded him to thank people for coming, avoid saying anything controversial, and eat vegetables occasionally. Jake mostly ignored the last part, preferring nachos to salads. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the sky lit up with stars. The crowd gathered around a bonfire, roasting marshmallows and swapping stories. Kids played tag nearby, their laughter echoing across the field. Someone handed Jake a guitar, and he strummed a few chords before launching into a silly song about aliens and tacos. Midway through the performance, the air grew still, the fire crackled softly, and the crickets fell silent. Everyone froze, staring upward as a familiar hum filled the air. The silver ship descended slowly, its surface shimmering in the moonlight. This time, it hovered closer to the ground, almost daring someone to approach. "Oh great," Jake muttered, handing the guitar to Leela. Round 4. The crowd backed away nervously, leaving Jake standing alone in front of the ship. He popped another chip into his mouth and waved casually at the aliens as they stepped out. Their tall, shiny forms glinted in the firelight, and their big black eyes skinned the area with cold precision. "Human," one of them said, its voice deep and mechanical. "You will cease this behavior immediately." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Which behavior?" "Eating chips, singing, being awesome." The alien hesitated, clearly unprepared for his sarcasm. Finally, it continued. "Your constant noise disrupts our mission. We demand cooperation." Jake snorted. "Cooperation? Sure, I can cooperate. Want me to teach you how to make s'mores? Or maybe show you how to dance? Humans love dancing. It's basically running in place while flailing your arms." The alien tilted its head, processing his response. Meanwhile, Leela stepped forward, holding up her phone. "If you want to understand humans, watch this." She played a video of Jake leading the crowd in a sing-along earlier that day. The aliens watched silently, their expressions unreadable. When the video ended, the alien turned to Leela. "Explain." "It's called joy," Leela said simply. "Humans create music, art, laughter, all kinds of things to express ourselves. It's messy, but it's beautiful. Even chaos has its place." The alien stared at her for a long moment before turning back to Jake. "Your species is illogical." "Yep," Jake agreed cheerfully. "But we're also awesome. Want proof? Watch this." He grabbed a microphone from the stage and started singing karaoke aloud. Off-key rendition of a classic country song. The crowd joined in, clapping and cheering as the music filled the air. The aliens looked utterly bewildered, their drones spinning aimlessly as if unsure how to process the scene. Commander Vreltharn watched from the safety of his ship, rubbing his metallic temples in frustration. "This is intolerable," he muttered. "How could any species function like this?" Zilnak hesitated before replying. Perhaps this is their strength, their unpredictability, their refusal to conform." Vreltharn frowned deeply. "Strength? This is madness, yet effective," Zilnak added quietly. "Look at them, united, celebrating, even in the face of uncertainty. They find joy." Vreltharn sighed, a sound that echoed eerily through the ship. "Very well, prepare for withdrawal. This planet is incompatible with our mission." By the time Jake finished his song, the aliens were already retreating. Their ship rose silently into the sky, leaving behind only a faint shimmer in the air. The crowd erupted into cheers, hugging each other and shouting Jake's name. "You did it," Leela exclaimed, throwing her arms around him. "You scared them off again." Jake shrugged modestly. "Hey, all I did was talk." Guess they weren't ready for Texas hospitality. As the sun set once more, the celebration continued late into the night. Someone handed Jake a microphone, and he led the crowd in a rousing rendition of Sweet Home Alabama. Nearby, Leela filmed everything on her phone, planning to upload it later with the caption, "When Jake saved the world again." Far above, the Zarnati fleet prepared to jump away. Before they left, Commander Vreltharn sent one final message. To Earth's leaders, a warning disguised as advice to the humans: beware of excessive noise. It may prove hazardous to those who value order. Jake never saw the message, of course. If he had, he probably would have laughed and said something like, "Noise is just music you haven't learned to appreciate yet." And deep down somewhere, in the vastness of space, the Zarnati couldn't help but agree. Let me know if you'd like me to continue writing the remaining parts, or format this into a document. Here's ***Part 5 *** of your story, written in *** simple and basic English ***, totaling approximately **1400 words ***. It continues the tale in third-person style without headings. The days turned into weeks, but life didn't go back to normal, not for Jake or the town. The gas station parking lot remained a hub of activity, with visitors from all over the country showing up to see the guy who talked aliens away. Food trucks stayed parked there permanently, selling everything from burgers to deep-fried candy bars. Kids played games on the pavement, drawing chalk pictures of spaceships and aliens. Musicians performed nightly, turning the space into an open-air concert venue. Even the local news station set up a small booth to broadcast live updates. Jake became the face of it all. Every morning, he woke up to find people waiting outside his house: fans, reporters, curious tourists, all eager to hear his latest stories about aliens. Some days, he made up new ones just for fun, like how he'd once challenged an alien to a burrito-eating contest and won. "They underestimated my taco tolerance," he'd say with a wink. Other times, he simply repeated what had actually happened, though his version always included more jokes and exaggerated details. Leela tried her best to keep things organized. She scheduled interviews, managed donations pouring in from supporters, and kept an eye on Jake to make sure he didn't get carried away. "You're famous now," she reminded him one afternoon while they sat on the hood of his truck eating tacos. "But remember, fame is fleeting." Jake laughed, dribbling salsa down his shirt. "Fleeting? Nah, I think I'm gonna be famous forever. Maybe I'll even write a book. How to save the world without lifting a finger." Leela groaned, but couldn't hide her smile. "You're impossible." Despite the chaos, the town thrived. People seemed happier than ever, united by the shared belief that they'd faced something extraordinary and survived. Strangers became friends, sharing meals and swapping stories. Around the bonfire each night, even the grumpiest old-timers joined in, tapping their feet to the music and laughing at Jake's antics. But not everyone was thrilled about the ongoing spectacle. Government agents returned regularly, bringing scientists and researchers who wanted to study the site where the aliens had landed. They set up tents and equipment near the gas station, scanning the area for traces of alien technology. Their presence created tension. Some townsfolk felt uneasy, worried the government might shut down the celebrations or take Jake away for testing. Others dismissed the agents as harmless, focusing instead on enjoying the festivities. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the crowd gathered around the bonfire for another night of singing and storytelling. Someone handed Jake a guitar, and he started strumming a cheerful tune, encouraging everyone to join in. Kids danced nearby, spinning in circles until they collapsed laughing onto the grass. The air smelled of roasting marshmallows and barbecue smoke, and the stars above twinkled brightly. Then, without warning, the sky darkened. A low hum filled the air, growing louder and louder until it drowned out the music and laughter. Everyone froze, staring upward as the silver ship descended once more, hovering close to the ground. This time, it looked bigger, sleeker, and somehow angrier. "Oh no," Jake muttered, setting the guitar aside. Round 5. The crowd backed away nervously, leaving Jake standing alone in front of the ship. He grabbed a bag of chips from a nearby cooler and popped one into his mouth, trying to act casual despite the tension in the air. The aliens stepped out, their tall, shiny forms glinting in the firelight. Their big black eyes scanned the area with cold precision. "Human," one of them said, its voice deep and mechanical. "Your actions have disrupted our mission. We demand compliance." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Compliance? You mean like filling out paperwork? Because I'm terrible at that." The alien hesitated, clearly unprepared for his sarcasm. Finally, it continued, "We require silence, order, cooperation." Jake snorted. "Silence, buddy? You picked the wrong planet for that. Have you seen us on holidays? Or during football games? We don't do silence. Trust me, it's better this way." The alien tilted its head, processing his response. Meanwhile, Leela stepped forward, holding up her phone. "If you want to understand humans, watch this." She played a video of Jake leading the crowd in a sing-along earlier that day. The aliens watched silently, their expressions unreadable. When the video ended, the alien turned to Leela. "Explain." "It's called joy," Leela said simply. Humans create music, art, laughter, all kinds of things to express ourselves. It's messy, but it's beautiful. Even chaos has its place. The aliens stared at her for a long moment before turning back to Jake. Your species is illogical. Yep, Jake agreed cheerfully. But we're also awesome. Want proof? Watch this. He grabbed a microphone from the stage and started singing karaoke aloud. Off-key rendition of a classic country song. The crowd joined in, clapping and cheering as the music filled the air. The aliens looked utterly bewildered, their drones spinning aimlessly as if unsure how to process the scene. Commander Vreltharn watched from the safety of his ship, rubbing his metallic temples in frustration. This is intolerable, he muttered. How could any species function like this? Zilnak hesitated before replying. Perhaps this is their strength, their unpredictability, their refusal to conform. Vreltharn frowned deeply. Strength? This is madness, yet effective, Zilnak added quietly. Look at them, united, celebrating, even. In the face of uncertainty, they find joy. Vreltharn sighed. A sound that echoed eerily through the ship. Very well, prepare for withdrawal. This planet is incompatible with our mission. By the time Jake finished his song, the aliens were already retreating. Their ship rose silently into the sky, leaving behind only a faint shimmer in the air. The crowd erupted into cheers, hugging each other and shouting Jake's name. You did it, Leela exclaimed, throwing her arms around him. You scared them off again. Jake shrugged modestly. Hey, all I did was talk. Guess they weren't ready for Texas hospitality. As the celebration continued late into the night, Jake led the crowd in a rousing rendition of Sweet Home Alabama. Nearby, Leela filmed everything on her phone, planning to upload it later with the caption, when Jake saved the world again. Far above, the Zarnati fleet prepared to jump away. Before they left, Commander Vreltharn sent one final message. To Earth's leaders, a warning disguised as advice to the humans: beware of excessive noise. It may prove hazardous to those who value order. Jake never saw the message, of course. If he had, he probably would have laughed and said something like, noise is just music you haven't learned to appreciate yet. And deep down somewhere, in the vastness of space, the Zarnati couldn't help but agree. Let me know if you'd like me to continue writing the remaining parts, or format this into a document. Here's ****, part 6 **** of your story, written in **** simple and basic English ****, totaling approximately ****1400 words ****. It concludes the tale in third-person style without headings. Weeks passed, and life in the small Texas town settled into a new kind of rhythm. The aliens hadn't returned, but their visit left an impact that no one could ignore. Jake became more than just a local hero. He was now a symbol of resilience and creativity. People from all over the country continued to visit, eager to meet the man who had talked aliens into leaving. Food trucks stayed parked near the gas station, musicians performed nightly, and kids played games on the pavement, pretending to be space explorers or alien hunters. Jake embraced his role as the town's unofficial ambassador. Every morning, he woke up to find fans waiting outside his house, holding signs that said things like *alien whisperer*, or *king of chaos*. Reporters asked him questions about his encounters, and he answered with a mix of truth and humor, always keeping the mood light. Sometimes he made up wild stories about flying spaceships or battling intergalactic monsters, just to see people laugh. Leela kept things organized, acting as Jake's manager and helping the town handle the influx of visitors. She scheduled interviews, coordinated events, and made sure donations went toward improving the community. You're famous, she reminded Jake one afternoon while they sat on the hood of his truck eating tacos. But don't forget where you came from. Jake grinned, dribbling salsa down his shirt. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. I'm still the same old Jake, just louder. Leela rolled her eyes but smiled. Yeah, and twice as messy. Despite the chaos, the town thrived. People seemed happier than ever, united by the shared belief that they'd faced something extraordinary and survived. Strangers became friends, sharing meals and swapping stories around the bonfire each night. Even the grumpiest old-timers joined in, tapping their feet to the music and laughing at Jake's antics. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the crowd gathered for another night of singing and storytelling. Someone handed Jake a guitar, and he started strumming a cheerful tune, encouraging everyone to join in. Kids danced nearby, spinning in circles until they collapsed laughing onto the grass. The air smelled of roasting marshmallows and barbecue smoke, and the stars above twinkled brightly. Then, without warning, the sky darkened. A low hum filled the air, growing louder and louder until it drowned out the music and laughter. Everyone froze, staring upward as a strange light appeared in the distance. It wasn't a spaceship this time, it looked more like a glowing message projected across the sky. "What is that?" someone whispered. The light-form words, written in perfect English, asterisk asterisk to the humans, "We surrender. Do not send Jake Collins again." Asterisk asterisk, the crowd erupted into cheers, hugging each other and shouting Jake's name. Leela turned to him, wide-eyed. "Did you hear that?" They gave up. Jake shrugged modestly, munching on a chip. "Told you they couldn't handle me." The message faded away, leaving the sky clear and quiet once more. For a moment, everyone stood in stunned silence, processing what had just happened. Then, slowly, the celebration began anew. Someone started playing music, and soon the entire crowd was dancing and singing under the stars. Later that night, as the fire crackled softly and the crickets chirped in the background, Jake sat on the hood of his truck with Leela, watching the festivities unfold. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "I never expected any of this to happen." "Me neither," Leela replied, smiling. "But here we are." Jake nodded, looking out at the crowd. "Guess it shows that even when things seem impossible, we can figure it out. Humans are pretty good at adapting." Leela raised an eyebrow. "We're talking too much." Jake laughed. "Hey, whatever works." As the days turned into weeks, news of Earth's victory spread far beyond the town. Other alien species began reaching out, curious about the planet that had repelled invaders. With nonsense, diplomatic messages arrived from distant star systems, asking for explanations or sometimes just jokes. Jake became an accidental ambassador, fielding questions from scientists, reporters, and even extraterrestrial leaders. Leela started writing a book about the whole experience, titled Asterisk How to Confuse an Empire One Word at a Time. Asterisk she interviewed townsfolk, collected photos and videos, and documented every detail of the alien encounters. "This is history," she told Jake one day. "And you're part of it." Jake grinned. "Yeah, but history doesn't usually involve nachos." Meanwhile, the government finally caught wind of everything that had happened. Agents showed up in town, eager to debrief Jake and study the site where the aliens had landed. But instead of shutting down the celebrations, they decided to let things continue. After all, the aliens were gone, and the town seemed perfectly fine, if not better than before. One afternoon, the president himself called Jake to thank him for his efforts. "You've done something incredible," the president said during their phone call. "Not many people can say they saved the world just by being themselves." Jake scratched his head, feeling oddly humble. "Thanks, I guess. I was just doing what I do best, talking." The president chuckled. "Well, keep doing it. You might be our secret weapon if anyone else decides to drop by." Jake hung up the phone, shaking his head. "Can't believe I got a call from the president," he muttered to Leela. "What's next? An alien talk show?" Leela smirked. "Don't give them ideas." In the end, life in the town returned to a sense of normalcy, but it was a different kind of normal. The gas station parking lot remained a gathering place, filled with music, laughter, and endless plates of food. Kids still drew pictures of spaceships and aliens, and musicians performed nightly. Even the local news station kept its booth, broadcasting updates about Jake's adventures to viewers across the country. Jake didn't change much, though. He still talked too much, ate too many chips, and joked around whenever possible. But deep down, he knew he'd done something important, not just for his town, but for humanity as a whole. One evening, as the sun set and the sky lit up with stars, Jake stood in front of the crowd with a microphone in hand. "All right, folks," he said, grinning. "Who's ready for karaoke?" The crowd cheered, clapping and cheering as Jake launched into another off-key rendition of a classic country song. Nearby, Leela filmed everything on her phone, planning to upload it later with the caption, asterisk when Jake saved the world again. Asterisk far above, in the vastness of space, the Zarnati fleet prepared to move on to their next mission. Commander Vreltharn stared at the glowing blue report in front of him, summarizing their encounter with Earth. "Humans are unpredictable," he admitted reluctantly. Zilnak nodded. "Yet resilient. Perhaps there is wisdom in their chaos." Vreltharn sighed, a sound that echoed eerily through the ship. "Very well. Let us leave them be for now." And with that, the Zarnati fleet disappeared into the depths of space, leaving behind only a faint shimmer in the stars. Back on Earth, the celebration continued late into the night. Someone handed Jake a plate of tacos and he raised it like a trophy, grinning at the crowd. "Here's to humanity," he shouted, messy, loud, and impossible to resist. The crowd erupted into cheers, raising their drinks and joining in the toast. Under the twinkling stars, surrounded by laughter and music, Jake felt a deep sense of pride, not because he was famous, but because he was human. And that, he realized, was enough. This concludes the story. Let me know if you'd like me to format this into a document or make any adjustments.